What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on one of those glorious and well-deserved day offs. And today we're going to talk about a subject that I honestly had never really considered covering. And then it reared its head in a Facebook conversation, and it dawns on me that I've been asked for this specific thing 4 or 5 times, and it's time to hit that subject today. And that is some uncomfortable truths about firearms instructors and some of the cancerous crap that goes on that you should be watching for before you give somebody that's going to teach you how to go shoot better any of your hard-earned money. And this is coming from a firearms instructor. This is a rough subject for me. Like, I really don't like some of the stuff that I see in the community itself. And you will notice as I go through these, if you start looking really hard at some of them, you're going to start seeing the same thing that I've seen over the years. So I got into this game. I've been shooting since I was a kid, which at this point is like 33 years. And I started carrying a gun professionally 26 years ago. Or 22 years ago. Good God, I can't math. So 22 years ago, I started carrying a gun professionally. I attended tons and tons and tons of training. I started doing a ton of training on my own when Uncle Sam wasn't paying for things that I wanted to go do. And then I sought out and became a firearms instructor. I did so inside of the military, not as a military-esque, but inside of the military to other guys. I also then went out and became, I got an NRA cert and all this other stuff so that I could teach and do the things that I wanted to do. And I taught, and I enjoyed doing it, but I always did it from the auspice of I wanted to help people be better. And now, currently, as law enforcement, I am a Nebraska state certified firearms instructor. I can teach law enforcement, civilians, anybody I want to. That is kind of the perk of being me, because though it is used as a cop skill, I can give that skill to anybody I want to. Kind of fun. So number one, and this is going to be broken down in uncomfortable truths the same way all of my uncomfortable truth videos are. So for those of you that have wondered when a new one was coming, welcome. And those of you that don't know, you're about to. So number one, I got all my certs. This is actually the argument, by the way. I got all my certs. There's no need for me to shoot this drill with you or to show you, because my certs from this specific plate say, ha. Okay. Here's the thing about certs from a guy that chases certs and has a lot of them. All a cert means, all a certificate from Gunsight or any of these other things, unless it is a cert that can be taken away from you, like the man card. And some of the really crazy ones like Fast Coins, the Black Belt standards from Modern Samurai Project, like there are some things out there that if you can shoot that consistently, okay, that counts, but that's the key word, consistently. You need to be able to do it afterwards, because all a cert means, after all, is that on that particular day or days, and in that particular moment in time, you met the standard or standards that exist to achieve the completion of that course. That does not mean today that you can do it, because unless you're constant, I don't know who's lied to y'all, but this is a perishable skill. And if you don't go out to the range and at least freaking shoot this thing at least once a month, and you're not doing a ton of dry fire, you are going to suck worse than you did when you stopped shooting. It's a fact of life, right? We have to maintain these skills. They don't just, oh, I've got it forever. No, you don't. I'm sorry. I don't care what school you went to and how great your cert was. If you can't do that standard for me when I ask you to do it out here doing this other thing, it doesn't matter anymore. That is why I posted up that 5x5 drill, because that 5x5 drill was shot cold from a retention level 3 holster with this freaking handgun. On demand. I was like, we're going to do this. And then I drew this thing and I went and did my shit. You know what I shot? I shot a 411. That was my time. 5 yards, 5 rounds, under 5 seconds from a level 3 holster, stone cold. That's what I was able to do. That day, that time, on cold on demand with no warm up, no practice, no nothing. I ran that drill at that speed. That is my base level of performance, stone cold. Into a playing card, mind you. Like, that's my level of performance, right? The fact that I could do that drill today, and that's what I can show you, if I don't do anything at all and maintain those skills by doing other stuff, and then a year from now I go to shoot it, I don't get to look at you like, yeah, I run that in a 411. If I haven't run it in a 411 in the last week, I don't run that shit in a 411 anymore. You don't get to claim it. I don't give a shit what your certs say. I care about what you do today. If you can't do it today, Your certs don't matter. Pet peeve, hardcore pet peeve. Hate that. When I see that from instructors, hate that. And I'll leave you with this too. And this is just an instructor general thing. Do you know what they call the guy that got C's and D's in med school? Doctor, right? It doesn't matter. Same stuff applies when we see a guy who barely met the minimum standard to get the NRA instructor cert, the BITCH cert, basic instructor training, right? I have one of those. The guy who meets the bare minimum standard on like the 4th time he's got to shoot his one qualification thing he's got to shoot, and he gets a freaking minimum passing score, you know what? That guy is still an instructor, right? That is an issue. You need to be seeking out instructors that have a higher level of skill, because you are wanting somebody that is so vastly better than you that whatever this thing is, that you learn stuff. Shit pisses me off, man. Number 2, when they demo for you, meaning when I tell you what we're going to do at the range, if I say, okay, here's the drill that we're going to run, say we're going to run the 5x5. If I tell you we're going to do the 5x5, the 5 yards is we are at 5 yards, we are going to fire 5 rounds, and we are going to attempt to do it in less than 5 seconds. Let me demonstrate this drill for you. I am going to get an exaggerated perfect master grip. I'm going to come out slowly, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to talk to you while I do it. Once I've rotated my elbow down, I'm going to have my index contact points with my thumb and the inside knuckle of my pointer finger. I am going to go out and achieve a solid grip, attaining my red dot on target, and I'm going to roll through and break those shots. And then I'm going to roll through and break those shots. Boom, boom, boom. The objective for me as a firearms instructor is not to show you how good I am. And I hate it when I see instructors that go to demo stuff, and when they do it at like the speed of mock Jesus, because they need to tell everybody in the world or reaffirm how badass they are. Here's the thing. Here's a news flash for y'all that don't know. If you have to constantly show or tell people that you're a badass and that you're so good at something, you suck at it, and you're nowhere near as much badass as you think you are, because the real ones don't got to tell anybody. Number 3, they will explain every single topic to you in the most complicated manner possible. I hate this. Here's the thing. I'm a fan of $5 words. Proprioceptive index, right? Myelination. I like these big words because they do actually mean stuff. And when you go tell your friend who was listed in the first one of these things, that's a firearms instructor, things like proprioceptive index and myelination, when you start mentioning these things to them, you sound smarter, and that's my goal for you. But here's the key word for when we explain things. If you cannot explain what it is that you are explaining to a 1st through 3rd grader, you do not understand it. And that goes for your firearms instructors that you meet. If everything they do has a over-exaggeration large amount of huge words in it, or it has something like, well, you just do it, or something stupid like that, they don't know how to teach. Like it pisses me off, man. Like, I hate it because I'm a firearms instructor and I see this shit happening, and then I see them take people's hard-earned money, and all they did was berate them a little bit, shot really fast, had terrible accuracy, and didn't explain shit to them. So they got nothing out of their money other than they feel entitled, feel better because they went to a course. Don't do that. Find instructors that can explain stuff to a 1st through 3rd grader. If you can do that, you understand the material well enough yourself to teach it to anyone. Number 4, they are not taking classes in perpetuity. There's a big $5 word for you. That means constantly. They are not constantly taking other classes. I will tell you right now, as a firearms instructor, I have been to a bunch of freaking classes, stuff that should make me a higher level than I've ever been, but I will still go take a level 100 basic operators course from Glock. You know why? Because I will learn or see something away this time that I did not see before. That is how it works. The best instructors on the planet are constant students. We understand that there's no way that we can be the best at everything, but we can learn little things. And when you make it to that level where you're actually teaching people, what we're striving for when we go to the range is picking up little hits and little tips that make us 1/100th faster the next time we do it. That is what a good instructor does, is they are constantly going to classes and learning. I see it all the time because, well, I don't go to that class because there's nothing they're going to teach me I don't already know. Bullshit. That means you don't know shit. Number 5, they cannot perform on demand. Part of being a firearms instructor, and this is an area I will say that law enforcement gets it right a lot of the times, which is, in order to be a firearms instructor for law enforcement, I have to be able, stone cold on demand, do the exact thing I'm going to ask of you. 100% of the time. It has to happen. And then you hear people that'll make this argument in favor of the instructors that don't do this, and that is, well, those that can do teach. That's bullshit. Here's the thing. If you can't shoot this damn thing, I don't care what you have to tell me about it. Just because you read a book on the subject doesn't mean you know how this actually works in my hand. There's a lot to being an instructor that isn't just knowing how to explain it to people. I have to be able to explain it to you from the level of somebody that understands how this thing here interacts with this thing and this interacts with this, and all of that functions together with the thing inside of my hat to give me a good presentation every time. If I can't explain that to you, those that can't teach those that can't do teach is a bullshit thing. Stop saying it. If they can't teach and do, they're not a good instructor and they don't deserve your money. And also, if you get to the range and they can't perform cold, not worth your money. They will make excuses instead of identifying what happened when they miss. This is a huge one, because here's the thing. Every instructor on the planet is a human being. That means that we are not infallible. That means we can make errors in our grip. When we meet up our grip on our presentation, we can miss time standards, we can miss shots, we can do all of those things on any given day because we're human. But the good instructors, the hallmark of a good instructor is if I tell you to do this thing and I boom, 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 and I throw my fifth shot, let's say on that 5x5 drill, since I just posted that. If I miss my fifth shot on that 5x5 drill, my answer to that, like, oh shit, well, sun hit my dot and I couldn't see exactly where I was, but I felt like I was there. That's an excuse. Or my grip gave just a little bit and I don't like this trigger, it's a new trigger and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it yet. I figured I'd break it in during this class. Or man, this ammo is really inconsistent. It doesn't do what it's supposed to every time. That's a bullshit excuse. I want to know why you missed. Everybody misses. It's a part of being a shooter. You're going to miss. The good instructors are going to miss and be like, you see that? I threw that fifth shot. The reason I threw that fifth shot, though, for those of you wondering, is my pinky kind of gave up on me a little bit down here and it slipped down and I lost my dot and recoil. What could I do different? And I'm going to ask this people in class, what do you think I could do different to correct that issue in myself? Because I want you to tell me what you think. You may be wrong, but you won't know if you're wrong unless you open your mouth and tell somebody. And here's the thing, a good instructor is going to make it feel like your opinion is welcomed in the class and there are no dumb opinions because we're all learning together. Again, if you're an instructor and you are not a student in perpetuity learning constantly as a firearms instructor and a shooter, you are a terrible freaking instructor. Fact. Number 7, and I see this one a lot, is that they do not run a gun that is common to the class. If you are going to a law enforcement class or a standard concealed carry class, how many people do you think in a standard concealed carry class, not necessarily like the upper echelon of this, right? They are not running staccatos. They are running M&Ps, they're running shields, shield pluses, Hellcats, SIG 365s, SIG 320s, Glock 19s, Glock 45s. They are not running these $3,000 tricked out race guns. But you will notice some of the instructors that share some of these traits I've already mentioned will have the most tricked out 2011 or almost a damn open division race gun when they do it, because that's what makes them shoot better. But here's the thing. A good instructor can take this from me and run this thing like a scalded dog, and I'll learn something by watching what he did and him being able to tell me something he noticed about my particular firearm. If your instructor can't just take a gun from the class and run the crap out of the drill he's telling you should be able to perform, that guy is not as good of a shot as you think. If he has to have this crazy decked out race gun, doesn't matter. I bring this guy up. I brought him up before, Sean Griffith from Griffith Shooting Solutions. That guy, I went to his class about a year ago, and it was performance-driven handgun stuff using competition dynamics for law enforcement guys, entering exit positions, like all this other stuff. But I will tell you that when he came out to train with us and started running those drills really hard with us, he demoed every drill. He did it stone cold. He was flawless the entire time, but when he did screw up, he told us exactly what happened and how. And you know what? He had this beautiful Tangfo that he had just shot in the Area 3 National Championships like the day before. You want to know what he shot in that class? An M&P 2.0. And he beat the snot out of guys with staccatos because he was what was good. A gun is a tool. Number 8, the opening line of their bio when you get online or you talk to them or they send you their email or you find them, whatever you find. The opening line of their bio literally contains something like SEAL, SF, Delta, Ranger, Dev, Guru, Sniper, in law enforcement as their that's my other one, law enforcement infantry guy, right, as their qualifications. I care very little about what you used to be. Because again, if we go back to that, you should constantly be learning and evaluating yourself as an instructor. If you are still leaning on the fact that you were in the infantry, I was in the infantry freaking 20 years ago, man. Like, I retired in 2012. Yeah, it's cool that I did that, and it shows something about my commitment to something I was willing to do and my sacrifice that I was willing to make. It talks to that. I didn't learn how to run this damn thing the way I run it in the freaking Army. Are you crazy? No. We didn't run LPVOs. We weren't worried about shooting VCQB. We weren't worried about any of that crap back then. The world has evolved and changed. And if that is your main drawing feature to what you do, is that you were once upon a time a SEAL, good for you. I know a bunch of civilian masterclass dudes that'll wipe the floor with you, man. If that's what they're banking all of their credibility on and not on the classes that they've recently attended or have been attending to make themselves better, you need to do something else. People like Bill Blowers that runs Taprat Tactical, that dude is freaking awesome. And he is constantly taking other people's classes and then teaching. Guy that I'm bringing into town here, Chuck Pressberg from Press Check Consulting. For those of you that have ever heard of primary and secondary or heard of a pistol referred to the Roland Special, that would be Chuck Pressberg of Press Check Consulting. And I am bringing him here to me in Nebraska because I want to train under him for his no-fail pistol and no-fail rifle. Bringing these people into you and training with them, these guys are constantly taking other people's courses to get that extra 100th off of whatever they're doing to make them a better shooter. That is what a good instructor does. They are not... Here's the thing. Chuck Pressberg has been there, seen that, done that shit with all kinds of cool accountability behind it, as he was a part of the asymmetric warfare group, right? Like, he was a badass. He tells you about him being a badass, and then he beats the snot out of you on the range shooting B8s, right? That's what I care about. So if that's how they start their bio and that's the only thing they have going for them, seek life elsewhere. Number 9 is they start every single course of fire that they are about to do with a 5 to 10 minute diatribe about that one time at band camp. If the instructor you have, usually this falls under the people that I talked about in section 8, where their literal entire bio about how they're qualified to do this is that they were a Navy, Super Ninja Delta Ranger SEAL from Dev Gru in the infantry and was a cop for 6 months. When that is their entire qualifications, those are the people that usually give you those war stories between every drill about why it's practical. We're going to do the failure to stop drill or the Mozambique drill founded by such and such at this time because it was done with this. I used this one time when I was out there and I was participating in the great lobster shortage of this time. And I went Mozambique when I did it. It's dumb, right? Like, if you need to start everything you do with me with a full story about how cool you are, you suck. Remember what I said earlier. If you need to constantly tell people how good you are, accomplished you are, a badass you are none of the three. Because real people, the real ones don't got to tell anybody. You can just tell. Number 10, they will hard focus consistently on the what and never the why. They will hard focus constantly about how you threw that shot. You see how you threw that shot? That shot, you can't throw those, man. You got to do better. Tell me why I threw it. You're the instructor. I'll wait. I am here giving my money to you because you have something that I don't have that I am wanting you to give me. And that thing is not you telling me to not do this particular thing. I need you to tell me why it happens so that I can do better. Because I can't fix it if we can't identify the problem. Y'all see that? The knife hand. I told you, this subject pisses me off, man, because they are taking hard on people like y'all that watch this channel's money and then basically feeding you a false bill of goods. And it happens all over the freaking country. There are fantastic instructors that were SEALs and DevGru and Delta. People like Pat Mack come to mind. That dude is a rock star. Chuck Pressberg, Asymmetric Warfare Group, Ranger. Dude's awesome. John Lovell, Ranger. Awesome instructor because they're all constant students. And they don't lean on the fact that once upon a time they were way cooler than they are right now as a civilian. They don't need to tell me a 40-minute story about how this one time at band camp And they're never going to hard focus on the what I did wrong, but they're going to figure out why and then help me to correct that so that the what doesn't happen again. Bonus point number 1. They have an ego-driven approach to what they do, and they do not handle it well when they get beaten in class. So on the off chance that your instructor, who meets probably at least 4 of these criteria if you've been laughing at this video, goes to run a drill for you and show you, and he goes to run that at mock Jesus, because that's what they all do, because they're going to show us how badass they are. He goes to do that, and then he throws a shot, and then he's like, well, you think you can do better, man? Get on up here in front of everybody and do it. And then this dude comes up and just stone cold smokes it. That dude's ego won't handle it well, and he's going to be off the rest of the class because he got showed up, right? Bonus point number 2. They will tend to try to make everything that happens during the course their lane, instead of taking the course curriculum and putting it in your lane. Here's the thing. I teach courses for practical application of defensive marksmanship. That is for the good citizens of the country that want to defend themselves from dirtbags with a firearm if they are just trying to enjoy their breakfast at Cracker Barrel, right? That's what they are. They at Waffle House? Because let's be real, that shit happens at Waffle House. So if they're going to try to defend themselves at Waffle House while they do this, they don't give a shit how many ways I've run this while doing enter and clearance drills into a freaking room. I need to take these skills and show them how applicable they are in the zone that they are planning on using them in. Because John Q. Public, who is worried about getting his ass stomped out in Waffle House on Saturday night, because that's when he gets off work. And if you ain't ever been to Waffle House like 2 in the morning on Saturday night in the South, I'm sorry, man. Like, throwing hands is a part of the job application down there. I've been in fights in Waffle House. It happens. If that dude is just trying to defend himself from the dude that is super pissed off because he hates peanut butter on waffles, and he takes his hash brown scattered covered chunk smothered, and you do scattered covered chunk, and he thinks you're a Nazi because you don't order your hash browns the same freaking way. That dude's worried about that. I need to make these skills that I am trying to impart on him applicable to that situation so that he retains that information, and then implements it in the correct manner. If I tell you that every time, well, when I cleared rooms, this is how it worked, and this is the reason we did it, because when we cleared rooms in Iraq in the early 2000s, this is how, and this is what it did for us. If I don't make this applicable to your situation or in your lane, you're not going to use it, and you're going to zone out on it. Sure, you get a cool story out of it, but you didn't learn any freaking thing. And then I'll leave you with this final piece. As an instructor, and when you're talking to instructors, if they cannot slow down what they're doing and break it apart into itty-bitty pieces, they should not be teaching you that specific thing. Remember, if you can't explain it to a 1st through a 3rd grader, you don't have a good grasp on it anyway. It's like I told you, if I was going to show the 5x5 drill, I would talk you through this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hand straight down. I'm going to pick up speed because my hand gets to the firearm faster. I'm going to establish a good grip because eye contact this way. It may not work for you, but I want you all to try it. Once I draw that firearm, I'm going to drop that elbow to get that gun into the fight immediately should I need to start shooting as soon as it happens because the dude's charging me. I am then going to meet these hands up, and I'm going to get my contact points that I know. Thumb on the side of the optic, behind my second knuckle, underneath the trigger guard, touching the second knuckle of my middle finger. And I'm going to roll that gun out together and in front of my line of sight. At that point, I'm going to break those shots at my exact point of aim. And I'm going to keep a consistent cadence because I want all my shots to be in there. And I'm going to do that. I don't want you to go as fast as you can. It's more important that you hit the target than it is for you to show me how big your junk is as you missed as fast as humanly possible. That is being able to break stuff down at a slower level so that everybody around you understands why you're teaching it that way. If you can't do that and your instructor cannot take his approach and slow it completely down and then walk you through why he's doing what he does, and then give you an alternative method that could work better for you when he observes you, that guy shouldn't be teaching that skill because he doesn't have a grasp of it enough to explain it to, again, a 1st through a 3rd grader. So guys, this was a fun one for me. This is a hot topic for me. I have a whole nother list ready to go. If you guys want to see a version 2 of this one, because it gets pretty freaking rough. Sorry about my phone ringing. So guys, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and until next time, I'll see you later.